See that? That right there is why we wear a helmet, kids.
I ain't afraid of work. I ain't afraid of play. I ain't afraid to get the job done and do it my own damn way. I ain't afraid of life. Times like this. You can mess with my freedom, I'll tell you just what you can kiss. That's right.
Oh, you been hunting? Come here. Come here. Come on, hunting dog. What a good old hunting dog. Come on. Good boy. That's a good dog. Come here. Give me a hug. That's not a hug. That's my leg. Come here, hug. Come here. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Now go get the possum. Go get him. Uh-oh. Where there's a will, there's a way. Hey guys, welcome back to the Stoney Ridge Farm. We are fueling up Big T. I have been a busy fella. Today what we've got going on the farm is we're gonna be loading up some chainsaws and protective gear, and we're gonna be cutting some trees for the sawmill. We've got a lot of lumber projects coming here on the Stoney Ridge. You guys are gonna love it today. We're gonna be using some really cool chainsaws, and we're gonna show you how we select the trees to cut for lumber here on the Stoney Ridge Farm. But first, I gotta fill up Big T because I ran out of gas. Another thing on the list of stuff to do, this is not a good system right here. I have got to hardwire this whole setup in. I broke the clamp off of this end, and this one is probably 220 degrees right now. It's really, really hot. I always disconnect my hotline, and I simply leave this hood down about like that because this is my fuel truck. I'm gonna give you guys a pro tip that has saved me so much. Out of all the machines on the farm, I have only had issues with fuel system and fuel delivery, and I'm gonna show you, ever since I did this, I have never had a fuel problem since. Now watch me jinx myself. Let me show you what I put in my fuel tanks. And you do this if you want to. I do it with every machine. This is not sponsored. This has saved me a ton of money. This is called Diesel Fuel Supplement from Power Service, or Diesel Power Service. I will post a link down the video description. Every time, beyond the shadow of a doubt, when I fill up my fuel tank here, I put Diesel Power Service in it. Every machine on the farm has Diesel Power Service in it. Ever since I started doing that, I've had zero problems with fuel. Zero. Zero. This is not your great grandpa's diesel fuel that you're buying in the gas station nowadays. This is the best pro tip. If there's anything you take home from this video, take this with you to the bank. That Diesel Power Service works. I buy it in 6-packs. It lasts me 2 or 3 years, sometimes, depending on how much I'm burning. And it really, really works. Click, click. All right, guys, welcome back to Stoney Ridge Farm. This is your first time, your 50 millionth time. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Love to have you back. That's not my phone number. Don't call it. This is an old Home Depot truck that I bought not too long ago. I would say maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And this is the best thing, one of many best things about this truck. Roll up windows. I don't know about you guys, but I'm so sick of things breaking. Electrical things breaking, overcomplicated trucks and cars and junk and garbage that just breaks and breaks and breaks. This thing's tried and true. It's a 6.0 gas, old Home Depot truck that is an aluminum dump back there. And that's what we're taking to the other side of the farm. So let's fire this puppy up. Contact, clear prop. 6.0 gas. Just can't beat that 6.0 gas. Now, we've got some pretty cool tools we're gonna be using today. Let's go out in the woods and I'll show you. Okay. I'll show you that in a minute. Yeah, here you go. That's what it looks like when you break a GoPro. What a bummer. good boy. You can't go with me, it's too far. There you go, good boy. Good dog. Smart dog. Really smart dog. The bad driver in the driveway of the year award. Ah. There we go. Stoney Ridge. You know what else I like about these old trucks? Do you hear it? No. Beep, 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 beep. Buckle up. Beep, beep. Come on, bro. We're driving on the farm. Oh, hang on. We in the ditch. Alright guys, where we're going is where we built the bridge last week. If you didn't catch that video, I'll post a link at the end of this video. We're just about to cross that bridge, and this is the first time any motor vehicle like this has ever crossed that bridge. I've got a bunch of fill dirt right over in there, and eventually we'll be using that fill dirt to fill in pond dams and holes throughout the whole farm. But this is the new bridge, going right across. Let's pack this puppy. Let's ride the edge. Living on the edge. Yeah, baby. Pack it. Another thing you need to know, we are directly on my property line. This is my neighbor's property. This is my property. So I'm not cutting any trees off of the neighbor's property. I'm only cutting them off of my property. In just a second, we'll take a walk in the woods here. We'll park the truck in the shade. We'll show you guys what we're harvesting for lumber. I don't think I brought my pencil out, which I should have. Nope. So we got to show you guys how we're making 2x4s, 2x6s, and all that stuff. We'll park over here in the shade. Shut her down, Buford. Man, it is a beautiful fall day. Hit the like button if you like fall. It is gorgeous out here, guys. So we've got a few tools that we're going to be using. I think it's important for us to go over our tools and our safety gear. First of all, we'll flip my gas can back over. Oh, there we go. That way we're not wasting valuable fuel. We've got a couple tools we're going to use as well as safety gear here. This is a decent helmet, guys. This is a Husqvarna brand helmet. I'll post a link to this and a Stihl brand helmet. You need this. Your head is nowhere near as hard as a limb that's falling even from this far above your head. Blink. That's it. You're going to the hospital. That's all it is to it. You're going to cut yourself. You're going to gash yourself. Once again, and man, I get this comment all the time. You're just a liberal wussy. You're an idiot if you don't use safety gear. I'm just telling you, you should use safety gear. You know it. I know it. Asked my dad. My dad just went to the hospital, got 18 stitches in his knee, and all he needed to do was buy him a $60, $70 pair of chaps, and he wouldn't have had a $2,000 hospital bill and or risked his life. He was out in the woods by himself. He's 74 years old. I run a chainsaw by myself. Where are your safety gear? That's all my spiel on safety gear. We've also got our log ox in case we want to keep our wood out of the dirt. Basically, this is a log jack. We'll jack our log up, keep it out of the dirt. If we need that, we'll grab it. We're not going to be loading up firewood today. In North Carolina, where I live, people don't burn pine. They don't burn pine because it causes creosote to build up inside their chimneys. It causes big time problems. So for every bit of hardwood you burn, you could probably burn 1/10 or 1/4 pine, conifers, stuff like that. That's real sappy. It takes it a while to dry out, and it coats the inside of your chimney and of your stovepipe. That's why we don't use it, guys. This is a lot of learning today, a lot of fun too. We got two cool saws that we're going to be using today. Both these saws are Stihls. One saw is a backup in case I pinch the other saw. When you go into the woods, you use your chainsaw. Don't go into the woods with just one saw. If you do, expect to go back to the house and get another saw because you're probably going to pinch it. If you go in with two, you'll never pinch your saw. You know that, right? This is a hefty saw right here. This is not an everyday carry saw. If it is, you're a big man or a big old woman. This is a Stihl MS661. It has the 20, I believe it's a 24-inch bar. Stihl calls this a 25-inch bar. That way they can be a little bit different, but it's sharp, it's ready to go. We've still got to fuel it up. So we're gonna tip it up here on the end. I'm actually gonna leave the scabbard on it until I need it, so I don't accidentally make a boo-boo. The next saw we're gonna use, and I'm not even gonna fuel that up just yet. The next saw we're gonna use is the Mac Daddy of them all. This again is that 24-inch bar, 25-inch bar. This is the MS500i. Fuel injected, that's what the I stands for. I think this says it's a, oh, this is a 28-inch bar, so a little bit longer bar. I'm a tall guy. If I'm gonna be bending over, and you'll see me in a minute, I'm limbing up all these trees that I dropped. I'm a tall guy. If I wanna save my back, I want a longer bar on my saw. Set these two beside each other. See which one's the longest. Yep, one's 3 inches longer than the other. There we go. Each one of these saws has a compression release right here. You mash that in to start the saw. We're gonna top off with fuel and bar oil. I typically won't do this on the back of the truck, but today, for you guys, I will, because I'm using a special fuel tank that I love, love, love. This is Husqvarna's fuel tank that has chainsaw gas, mixed gas in one side, and bar oil in the other side. I swear by this. I will post a link in the video description. If there's one tool or two tools that you use off of this farm channel, this is one of them, I'm telling you. The other one, if you're using diesel fuel, put that power service in. We're gonna pop the caps on both the bar oil and the fuel. No, we're just gonna do the bar oil. Ask me why. We just open one at a time. The reason we only open one at a time, how many of you guys have been a dummy like myself, and maybe you're not as dumb as I am, but I accidentally put bar oil in my fuel tank one time. Duh. Don't ever do that if you just open one at a time. Don't get in a hurry. These are both professional grade saws. The most recent MSRP on the 500i is somewhere around $1,700. Stihl is a big supporter of rural content and a supporter of this channel. Thank you, Stihl, for providing me with a good deal on this chainsaw. Pull this guy up real quick. How many of you guys are Stihl guys, and how many of you are Husqvarna guys? Husqvarna. Shake it real good. We've already got our gas mix ready to go. This thing's really cool. You pull the tab back, just like that, and it locks it open. And when you get it full, it just stops pouring. Watch. Tip, no gas spill, mash down. It's got my glove. Fill, 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 fill. It stops when it's full, so you don't spill gas. Wouldn't the government be a lot better off selling fuel tanks like that? Holy macaroni. I, again, am not gonna fill up the 661 until I need it. There's no reason to do that. I don't wanna leave old gas in my machine. Let's fire this puppy up and let her warm up to optimum running temperature. Bad things can happen. Put your chainsaw chaps on before you start your saw, period, point blank. Bad things happen to good people. You know why? Because they do something stupid. Look at that, 20 seconds, saved a trip to the hospital. Amazing, huh? Okay, firing up the 500i is a little different. We're gonna mash our primer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I like to do 8. They say 6, I think. And we're gonna sit her on the ground and get her started. Okay. Let it run. You don't have to choke a fuel injected saw. That saw just screams, man. You get a chance, even if you don't buy a 500i, you get a chance, try one. You'll love it. Okay, so we've warmed up a little bit. We're gonna take you in the woods. We're gonna show you the types of trees we're cutting out of the forest right here. We're leaving good, beautiful timber, and we're cutting out stuff that's gonna die and fall over. So make no mistake, I'm not out here just cutting trees randomly. Let me show you. So here in my wonderful state of North Carolina, we have a tree that we call the Virginia pine. This is a Virginia pine, okay? That is a Virginia pine. Look at these Virginia pines. Do you see what's happening here? They're all leaning and toppling over on top of each other. Do you see this wonderful waste of timber, a waste of lumber right here in the woods? Do you see this one? It leaned over and it died. This one leaned over and it died. What happens here in North Carolina is you get a domino effect. North Carolina, Southwest Virginia, maybe Tennessee, I don't know, all over the country. You get a domino effect. One of these little trees falls, and I say little, it's, 12 inches around, 14 inches around, falls, it topples over, and it knocks over half the forest with it. So, instead of losing one tree, you've lost 15 trees. So what we're in here doing now, and we're gonna start on the edge of the woods, we're gonna work our way back into the woods, is we're cutting the trees that are due to be harvested before they die or fall over and crush the rest of the trees. This pine tree right here is probably 14 inches through and through, okay? This needs to go. The truck's in the way. We're gonna have to move the truck. What we're gonna be dropping today are trees just like this, and we're gonna go down low here and we're gonna drop them. You can see there are other trees in the way. They'll fall right through those other trees. It's okay. There's another one there, another one there, another one there. There are some big, nice trees in here that need to be taken. And what we're gonna be doing is finishing out the framework in the inside of the mega shop. You guys are probably tired of hearing me talk, but that's what we're doing. That's why we're doing it. We're thinning the forest so that this becomes something really beautiful and better for wildlife. Be sure you stay tuned to the end. I'm gonna take a log and I'm gonna show you guys, I'm gonna draw out how we're gonna harvest the lumber that's in that log. see that? That right there is why we wear a helmet, kids. Did you see that tree come down on me? Just now. Yeah, came right down on me. We nearly hit the truck too, but we're looking good. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 5 total trees on the ground here. And we've probably got 3 more we need to take out. This is a lot of lumber, guys. Stay tuned. You're gonna see us all on the sawmill. We're gonna clean all this debris up also and make some rabitat with it. We'll show you that. I've got 1 more that's back in the woods just a little ways that I'd like to get on the ground. So we're gonna head back in there and we're gonna see if we can lay it right about here. Clear problem. Let's count the trees we got on the ground. 1, 2, 3, that's a nice one right there. 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 trees on the ground. That should make us probably 14 to 18, maybe even 20 saw logs. Now we've got a few issues that we've got to take care of here in just a little bit. Those issues involve trees like this that are hung up. Okay, you see this guy hung in here? That's just basically one big bow, a big spring, okay? I'll show you the size of the trees that we cut here and the way we cut them. They just pop right off the stump. We'll cut through here. You see that they just pop right off the stump when we cut them like this and kind of leap out into the woods. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 nice saw logs right here. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna be cutting these to length. But first I've got to get all of the limbs off of them, okay? So if it's usable timber or usable lumber, I have to cut the limbs off in order to put it on the sawmill. Let me show you what I mean. So in order to manage this tree right here, I'm gonna have to cut the top out of it, okay? I'm gonna lop it off right about here, about 8 to 10 feet from the top. Now I'm gonna go on down here, about 8 to 10 feet from the top. If I've got a big limb like this, it's kind of a straggler, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off too. Then I'm gonna get up here to where I actually may have some timber. We'll cut it all the way back to there. That's when we start thinking, okay, we gotta measure. We gotta get the most board footage out of this log. Let me go up here to the butt end real quick. So we got a dangerous scenario right here where this log is sitting on top of other trees. This will lighten up as I start cutting out on that end, so I have to watch for it to kick up like this. I can't just put my saw into this critter right here. If I do, that thing is gonna pop and it could kick my saw back out of the tree right there. This one also. so it's in pretty rough shape. So what am I learning here? It's probably best to just go on and cut the trees that are in the way, that are not going to survive anyway. They're not going to do very well. Same thing goes with this guy right here, but we've got a huge amount of lumber, so we could get 2x6s out of this right here, almost 2x10s, and that's something to think about as we look at the butt end of this log. And when we go back to the shop in a minute, I'm going to slice off a portion of this. We'll tell you how old the tree is, and we'll draw out a little map of how many boards I can get. Okay, I'm going to get right over here. Same thing. This one's kind of hung up. These are in the ground, which is nice. And this one tree right here was in the way, and they just break. These pines, they just break, they just fall apart. This one can't be used for anything, but I'll probably lop it off and make a little bit of firewood for firewood bundles, for doing, you know, fire pit kind of stuff. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and limb this guy all the way up and show you guys where I'm potentially gonna make my cuts. Here's what I did. I went through, and I know this is not usable lumber or usable firewood really. Again, here in North Carolina, we don't burn a lot of this type of wood in our wood stoves, because if we do, it causes house fires, it causes chimney fires. We don't want that. Here, I got a lot of man glitter on me. So here's our log. This is our saw log. And as you can see, it's pretty long. Let me grab my measuring tape real quick, and we'll show you guys exactly what we need to do in order to decide where to cut this log. Super easy, super simple. Now, we're down here on the very far end. I don't want to fool with this just yet, but I can see that the log takes a turn right here. There's a little dip, and I've got to keep that in mind as I get ready to cut my saw log. That dip starts right there and is just a slight dip, and then there's another little dip right here, and there's part of the trunk right here. So the log starts to narrow very, very steeply right here and right there. Odds are I won't be using that end down there, but I may be using this right here. So we're gonna get our measuring tape. We're gonna measure that off in just a second. But first, we gotta walk up here to the far end. There's a mess right here. Rest assured, in the future video, we're gonna come in here and rake all this up with the tractor, get everything cleaned off, and we're gonna build a log pile that's gonna be monumental. Lots of videos coming here. So we're gonna be making 2x8s. We're not gonna make 2x8s, we're making 2x4s. We're not very smart today. So we're gonna be making 2x4s out of this log. 2x4x8s. So we're gonna go right out here, and there is the 8-foot mark. At 8'3" is where we're gonna cut it. Now we do know we've got a little bit of a janky end right here. So we're gonna cut it at about 8'6". All I'm gonna do is take what I have to work with right here, and that's 8'6". I'm gonna make a mental note right there where it is, and I'm gonna lay myself a stick right across there, and I know that is exactly where to cut. Okay, now I'm gonna come right back down here with my measuring tape. This measuring tape is probably gonna go in the garbage can soon. Task Force, I think that's 30 years old. We're gonna do it again. So we're gonna put our measuring tape out, and we're gonna find that 8-foot mark, but at this time we're gonna go 8'3". So from our first cut here all the way down to our next cut, which is gonna be 8'3". It's right on these knots. I wanna pay attention to these knots and the size of the log. It's rather uniform all the way through. There's one 8-footer, there's two 8-footers. Now we're gonna go ahead and we'll take another stick. Just as simple, we're just gonna use what we have here. I learned this from my buddy Eustace Conway. We're just gonna put it right on the other side of that knot right there. All right, so we laid our stick across 8 foot. 8 foot was 8'6", then 8'3". The reason we're doing 8'3" is because we're making room for shrinkage, okay? I know you guys don't like shrinkage. We're gonna go right back. That little stop that's sticking up right there, we're gonna go right to that 8-foot mark again. 8'3". Simply take a stick, use what you have. A nice straight stick is always better. There we go. 8'3". Okay. Now, we got a little bit of thinking to do because we're getting closer to the end of the log, to where it narrowed up here, what we showed you just a little bit ago. So I'm gonna go all the way to that point where it narrows, see what we got. And we just so happen to have 8'3" right there to that spot. So I'm gonna go out here. I'm gonna take this measuring tape. I'm gonna throw it right over there. Crappy tools will ruin your day, won't they? Right here is where we're gonna cut it. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 8-foot saw logs out of this. This starts to turn here. So we really can't get much from there all the way through to here. You can see that bow right there. It's simply not worth cutting. It is worth cutting for firewood right here. So what we'll do is we'll drag this log, we'll lop that guy off, we'll drag all the debris out, and we'll start ourselves a log pile. Now let's take you over to the truck and show you how to read a log to cut on the sawmill. I've got a pencil and I've got a really, really crappy measuring tape. Before I draw all this out, I'm gonna go ahead and make some reference cuts, because those sticks aren't gonna sit here overnight and the next day. Probably 2 days before I get back over here. So I'm gonna make some reference cuts real quick so that I know where that log needs to end. Then we'll come back, we'll tell you how old this tree was, and we'll show you how we're gonna cut it. We'll talk about something called the pith. Go learn something. Let's read this here log. This is a cut off the butt end of that log down there. Why didn't I cut it all the way to the ground? Well, it's just not that usable. A tree will tend to flare out down at the ground and do this right here. I can't use this right here. I can only use this right here. So this is the biggest part of the tree. Kind of hard to see, but hopefully you guys can see it. We're gonna count the rings in this tree real quick, and I'm gonna cut the finger out of my glove because I can't handle anything with these gloves on. So Milwaukee deployed. New cutting board here. There we go. Might be able to get the fingertip out of that one too. Let's just hope I don't cut my whole finger off. Now we cool. Got some bum gloves. There are any bums watching this, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. Here's what we got. We got the log. Let's count the rings. Let's just go on the big side. This is the pretty side, the big side. We're gonna count these rings. on the log face here, you can tell the age of the tree by how many rings, the dark rings. So this is the pith. This is the very center of the log, okay? And then we can count out from there, or we could start here and count inward. I'm going to start from the center and count outward. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 45. This is about 45 to 46 years old. Why does that matter? Because 45 to 46 years ago, this tobacco field stopped being farmed. This is what grew up. The hardwoods are starting to choke out the coniferous trees, but this is what grew up. So we said 45, 46, let's just say 45 years old. Now, we need to measure this. So we'll use our horrible measuring tape here, and we're right at about 12.5 inches of usable log right there. Okay, so 12.5 inches. What we're trying to do is cut 2x4s out of this. Now I'm going to get in here and I'm going to do a little bit of drawing. This is kind of fun. This is going to be the funnest part of the video, I think. So we're going to take our straight edge here, and we know what we have to do is square this off. We have to make a cant, okay? A cant is a log that's squared off. Very, very simple. How we're going to make that cant is we're going to cut the slab off of the top of this log right here. And by the way, when you count the rings, the bigger rings are from years that had more water. And we can tell the outer rings on here, we've had dry spells. You can really tell while that tree's growing, it's been really dry. So we're going to go ahead and square this log off right there. Hopefully you guys can see what we're doing. So that slab is going to go. There's a little bit of lumber in here also, so we may consider cutting it up top here and getting a 1x out right there. But for today's purposes, we're just going to show you. We're going to slab this side off also. Okay. Okay. Very crude. This is rudimentary, guys, so don't hold it against me, all right? Now, look at what we've done here. We're going to have to flip this. See how this log is not completely round? It's flat on one side. That's where we should have started. So let's flip it, and let's start there, because that's where we're going to cut the least off. We're going to go right back up here. We're going to slab this log off again, okay? So we're just going to take our pencil, and again, this is very rudimentary, guys. This will give you an idea. Okay, that's a slab. That's pretty much unusable. You might get a 1x4 out of that. Okay, we're going to go right here. We're going to square this puppy off. We're going to mark. Again, this isn't going to be perfect. This is not geometry class. Okay, that guy's pretty squared off. We're going to do it again right here. We're going to get that slab. We're going to try to match up right here. First of all, let's measure. Let's take a look where we need to be. We need to be in the 8-inch range right here, because what we're going to be doing is actually cutting true 2x4s out of this guy. So true 2x4s. We want it just a little bit more than 1/8 of an inch, okay? That saw blade will take a little bit out of the log, okay? It'll take up to around a 1/16 of an inch out of that log. So every time the saw blade goes through. So if we've got 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2x4. So we've got 4 cuts. We take away that cut, we take away that cut. We've got basically 2 good cuts. 1 cut, 2 cuts, 3 cuts. Sorry, 3 good cuts. So we want to take right around 1/4 of an inch more off here. So what we're going to do is mark it right at about 8 1/4. Okay. This is just how I do it. Everybody does it different. You guys can tell me what a dummy I am at the end of this. Now, we also need to measure this direction. Okay, and this log is pretty much perfectly round, so we could probably cut it again right at that 8-inch mark. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove our slab, and let's just say, for measurement's sake, this is an 8x8. Pretty simple. This will be gone, and this will be gone. All that'll be gone. 8x8. And remember, this is the biggest end of the log, okay? So out at the other end, it may be a little bit smaller. We're gonna be wasting just a little bit here, but these slabs make great burn pile stuff. I guess what, burn pile lumber. So now what we gotta do, we've gotta work out from the pith. The pith is the center. This is the softest part of the log. This will shrink, okay? So this will cause your boards to get all janky and crooked and twisted. So we wanna work off of the pith, okay? We don't want boards that contain a bunch of the pith. So in other words, we don't want to slice it in two and cause that board to bow. This will shrink and that will cause that board to bow. So what we want to do is contain the pith, okay? So we got to get up here again with our measuring tape, see where we're at. The 4-inch mark happens to land right there on the center of the pith, okay? We need to be thinking about that as we cut our boards. So we got 8 this way and 8 this way. We got 4 this way, okay? So what we could do is find a way to cut this to where we don't have the pith on the outside edge of a board. And that's what our entire goal is, cutting this. So we may end up having to take a 1x off of one side just so we can work off of the pith and make a 2x4 right in here. This is just for viewers' sake right here, okay? 2x4, 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 all the way around. And that is how we're reading our log right there. It's not perfect every time, and it's not gonna be perfect every time. What we're building in the shop, we're gonna be building with wet lumber. So we're gonna mill it and build it either the same day or just the very day after. So we're not gonna give it a lot of time to dry. We're gonna build with wet lumber. And whatever we use for 1x material, we'll use that for the backdrop in the tool shed in the mega shop. So that's it. That's what we got going on over the next few weeks. I'm gonna be harvesting trees. Look at the canopy here. We opened up a lot. Look at that canopy compared to this mess. Okay, I'm gonna go through drop, 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 drop. We're gonna be dropping trees, milling lumber once we get a big old pile of pine trees. And guys, that's what's gonna go on over the next few weeks here on the Stoney Ridge Farm, probably all winter long. Sawmill and chainsaw season is not here in North Carolina in the summertime. It's this time of year where I can get out, I can work in the shade, I can plug away at this. We're gonna build a big old pile of saw logs up. We're gonna clean all this debris up. We're gonna have a big old bonfire party. I'll invite the whole neighborhood and we'll be making lumber. It'll be awesome, guys. Check out of the Woods channel. Nathan is a good friend of mine. Out of the Woods. I'll post a link here at the end of the video. He's a great guy. Tell him Stoney Ridge sent you. You will love his channel. He's got a total dedicated sawmill channel, a wealth of knowledge, and we're gonna go up and see him probably before we start milling this stuff. So get ready. We're gonna build a huge pile of lumber. Take care, guys. Have a great day. See you next time on the Stoney Ridge. Woo!
Oh, them bonsai!
Dope! Oh, God, he grabbed you. Did I break the screen? Of course I broke the screen. That's so... Oh, I'll show you that in a minute. Yeah, here you go. Ew! Skewy, ooey, and gooey. Dollar. 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 Hang on. We in the ditch. Shut her down, Buford. She's sucking mud. You wanna go and use a saw with me? We'll take a woman and a foe with a do-see-do. Must I feel this way? Hey, must be the chainsaw. Okay, we don't need these sunglasses in the shade, man. It's cool. It's nice over here. Beautiful fall weather. Hit the like button if you like beautiful fall weather. And your mouth is really dry. Hold on. Dollar. Dollar. You say it's just a rash. Now we're ready for tennis. Gosh, should I pee now or should I just pee later or pee in my pants? I don't know. Maybe just pee now. The difference in a Stihl 500i and most saws, like a Stihl has. Dollar. Fuel. I'm a tree hugger too. Check it out. I love this tree. All right, let's lead the whole finger off. Now we cool. Got some bum gloves. Frickin' disaster. Oh my goodness.